I'm extremely to be happy here this morning with all of you as part of the webinar series for our future techno managers. Very excited to welcome you all for today's webinar on probability in real life applications, which will give you insights about how the probability can be used in real life in solving wide variety of problems through different business use cases. Mainly, we are going to see about three things. That is, probability is remarkably powerful tool. It's a study of events and outcomes involving an element of uncertainty. Applications of probability is ranging from flipping a coin to plummeting of satellite to Earth. So at the end of the session, we are going to have an idea or like takeaway about all these things. As you learned in the previous digital music sessions by our managing trustee and CEO of Transform Tech Private Limited, Dr. Sendil Ganesh sir, becoming techno manager means more than just understanding the technology. It means you have to know more than how the technology is impacting the business world positively. So it's not just implementing the technology in various innovative fields. So in continuation of that, today we are not going to see only about what is probability or different kinds of techniques in that. You have to learn more than that. That is how the probability is impacting in real world. So we'll be seeing more real-time applications to understand how the probability is impacting the business world. There are millions of applications are there, but here I have listed out only sample applications which we are going to discuss today. Starting with brewing industry, forensics, finance, insurance industry, healthcare, and gaming. So before getting into see how the brewing industry is using probability to improve its business, let us first start one small quiz. That is, I'm going to start a poll which you can answer by just flipping a coin. I hope everybody is having a coin in your hand. Those who are having the coins, just flip a coin, and whatever the output you get, this head or tail, just answer it on the poll. You choose the according the respective options. Those who are not having that coin, no issues. Don't worry. Just imagine that you are playing you are flipping a coin visually, and based on the visual output you get, just type the answer or just randomly choose the option. No issues. I'm just starting a poll right now. Yes, you can start answering it. Just flip a coin or imagine something. Good. I'm started getting the answers. Even those who are live in Facebook, you can type the answers in comments. Nice, 85% voted. Still, I'm waiting for some more answers. So I'm going to end the poll. I'm getting more answers now. 85%, very good, nice. Really interesting answer we are getting. So I'm going to end the poll now. And I'm going to share the results. See, 100%, it means everybody have chosen head. So what is the probability, whether it is same as whatever we are learning theoretically? No. See, it's a surprising. It is not surprising actually if you really mean to know what is probability and how it is applicable in real world. See, theoretically, if you learn just flipping a coin, what will be getting the probability values? If you just getting a possibility of getting a head is 50% or 0.5, and possibility of getting tail is 0.5. But now it is just a random event, but we got totally a different answer. And very interestingly, we got it is 100% of you. Everybody have chosen only head. Nobody chose tail. So this is a chance. So sometimes there will be a result like this also in real world. That is what you have to understand. And I'm going to share results now. See the answer. Everybody have chosen head. So I'm going to give you one more question. So I'm just launching the another poll. Just answer the question. I'm start getting the answers. Nice. I'm getting more words. And I'm getting interesting answers also. 58% voted. Still wait for some more answers. 75% voted. Good, good. Nice. Now the percentage is increasing actually. Good, good. So now I'm going to end the poll and I'm going to share the results. See, 83% voted 1/2. It means that's the right answer actually. The probability of getting a head while flipping a coin is only 50%, as I told you just now. But the thing is, sometimes by chance, we'll be getting, suppose if we throw the coin 100 times, 100 times you'll be getting head, as just now we did in the previous poll. That is also possible, but that is a rare case only. So based on this learning, we will proceed with the remaining business applications which we are going to discuss today. We'll start with the brewing industry. In 1981, there was a brewing company named Joseph Schlitz. Spent $1.7 billion for its marketing campaign to improve its brand's decreasing market share. It was a bold and risky decision. The reason is the time at which the campaign started. I hope everybody knows what is Super Bowl. It is the annual championship of America's National Football League. So in the midst of the league, around 100 million people who are watching the match lively. During that time, the Schlitz company have hosted the live blind taste test on television. So interestingly, this is very bold decision. Interestingly, what they have done, one more thing is, they have not launched this campaign for its own or consumers, or for, they have not randomly chosen the consumers. What they did is, they have selected the consumers from its main competitor, Michelob. And the thing is, they did a blind taste test live. So in that particular season, there was 5 live television taste tests, and it is the competition. And they have, during that campaign, during that test, what they did is, they have given 2 drinks. That is, one is the Schlitz, the another one is the Michelob in one test. So that is given to the consumers without labeling anything. So the consumers have to do the tasting and they have to say which type of beer they like. So interestingly, the thing here is the opponent, whoever the consumer, they are not the Schlitz like us. They are using the other brands like Schlitz, Budweiser's, and so many other different brands. But here they have given two beers. One is Schlitz, and the another one is any Michelob or the other things. Now they have to taste and they have to tell that option. This is watched by millions of people at the very busy moment as like this NFL tournament. So see the boldness and the riskness of the campaign. Just imagine that. And this is hosted by NFL referee. So the person is who's in uniform as the NFL, former NFL referee. And they have did this campaign regressively. That is, they have given the title as what Schlitz versus Bud, live during AFC playoffs, Michael Love versus Schlitz, Miller versus Schlitz, etc. Here, the marketing message is very clear. That is, they did this campaign for the consumers who like the other brands, who drinks the other brands regularly. But at the end of the test, during the blind taste test, they'll prefer the Schlitz in blind taste test, because here the important thing is most of the beers taste the same in those kind of brands. At least in 1980s. So here, what they did is they have given the different kinds of beers to the persons. Here, why they did all these things is the Schlitz, they want to improve their business. So in that case, they want to clearly pass a message to everybody that if they are in a blind taste test, if they are the participants are selecting the Schlitz, it means they will also like Schlitz. So, and purposefully, they didn't launch this campaign for their own loyal customers. Otherwise, what would happen is, just imagine if Schlitz consumers, loyal customers, just participated in this campaign and they have done this tasting. And after this process, if they have chosen the other brand, how it is going to be in front of millions of people. But this is what the Schlitz did for the other brand, that is especially for its main competitors. And as you just expecting, you can think how it is related with probability. Here, why they have chosen this marketing campaign and why we are telling it's bold and risky is because the Schlitz persons know that with the help of probability, the technicality will support them. The statistics and probability will help them in favor. How and why it is. If this is really just a coin flip, what if most of the tasters choose Michelob just by chance? Because it's a blind taste test, there is no labeling, nothing. So just as you did coin flipping, this is as like that. So both drinks they will use, and whichever both will be having similar taste, so they have to choose only any one option randomly. So it is completely random. So in such case, as like the coin flip, just now we got only 800 times. I mean, all the participants, all the students, you have chosen only head, nobody chosen tail. This is what is going to happen. What will happen to that much amount they have spent for this marketing campaign? Not only the amount, you just imagine the brand, because millions of people are currently watching that in live. So how it is going to happen to them, what it is going to be impacted in their business. So probability is helping them. Here the concept which is applied here is binomial experiment or the Bernoulli trial. It means it is having some few characteristics, that is fixed number of trials. Here for each blind taste test they had 100 consumers. So the number of consumers, number of trials is 100 here. then each with two possible outcomes. Here, only two outcomes, either they have to choose Michael-Loeb or they have to choose Sklets. So only two possible outcomes here. Probability of success is same in each trial. Yes, there is a probability of selecting. Here the success means if the consumer is selecting Sklets in this blind taste test, then it is termed as success. So the possibility of selecting the Sklets is 50% and the possibility of not selecting is 50%. And trials are independent. It means, yes, one person's decision is not affecting the others. For example, in this Sklets blind test, whatever one person drinks and he is choosing whether he likes which brand or which option, it is completely independent of the other person. It is not going to affect that. So based on this characteristics, the Sklets technical team was more confident that definitely they will be getting a huge benefit outcome out of this campaign. That was their main strength. And one more strength is the domain concept. That is, most of the beers taste same. And to have the success, to have all these things, you can imagine that because they have spent this much amount of time and they did this kind of aggressive advertisements and all. In such case, you can just think that the Sklets beer was more delicious. No, it need not be. It can be only an ordinary and it can be a normal. The taste may be normal, but the statistics and the probability is coming into the picture because it is just the coin flip, like a coin flip. The probability of success is definitely more than 50%. Here, the chances of all 100 taste testers picking the company's brand were 1 in this much. See, just try to read this number, how much big it is. Now we got the answer by all the students have chosen the headers just by chance. But this chance is not going to happen always. It's on in this much. Actually, this number is bigger than if there is any asteroid, if that is hitting all the people in that particular blind taste test, and if they are killed by that asteroid, and that particular chance, so more than that chance, this values. So it is very rare. So that is why they were more confident of this campaign. So just to have an idea about what is asteroid and how it is going to hit, I have given this picture. But here, ultimately, what the Sklets want us is good for Sklets if at least 40 of the 100 testers pick Sklets. It is minimum because, see, in the all 100 people are there from the competitors brand. All are from the Michelob drinkers. So among that 100 taste testers, at least if 40 of them choose Sklets, it is a grand success for Sklets because that itself is going to give them a huge profit because 40 of the opponents is going to components the opposite brands drinkers is going to choose this Sklets in front of everybody. It's very huge benefit for them. But how the probability is helping here is there was a 98% chance that at least 40 of the testers would pick Sklets. And 86% chance that at least 45 of the testers would prefer Sklets. So that is why we are saying it is not a risky campaign at all. Only there is a chance for 2% lose. Otherwise, they will be getting more than 40. That itself is a big number. So are you really interested in knowing what happened to Sklets? Just wait for a second. I'm going to play the video.
Live From New Orleans, Schlitz versus Michelob in the Great American Beer Test.
Hi, I'm Tommy Bell. 3 weeks ago in a live taste test, 50% of 100 lawyer blood drinkers preferred Schlitz. 2 weeks ago, 37% of 100 lawyer Miller drinkers picked Schlitz after just one glass. And today, I'm refereeing a taste test as Schlitz takes on Michelob with 100 loyal Michelob drinkers. Live. They've already tasted Michelob and Schlitz and these unmarked mugs. And remember, all 100 of these folks are sworn Michelob drinkers. But when I blow my whistle, let's see how many actually prefer the taste of Schlitz. Be ready. 20, 30, 49, 50%. 50% of loyal Michelob drinkers preferred the taste of today's Schlitz. I don't think one of these people felt like they would pick Schlitz, but the taste convinced 50 of them. Let the taste of today's Schlitz convince you. Now let's go back to that Super Bowl and see if the Raiders can hold on to that 11-point lead.
So I hope you enjoyed the video. So exactly 50% of the Michelob drinkers choose Schlitz in the blind taste test. It was a huge success to them. So the learning here is probability is a powerful tool, and many leading beers in 1980s were indistinguishable from one another. But here we are going to concentrate mainly on the first option. So what are all the different types of probability events? Actually, there are some kind of events are having known probability. So we have the probability events with known value already, and some of the events are having the probability or deriving the probability based on the past events, and some of the events are having the probability values which is most mutually exclusive, we can say. Now we are getting into the another area, that is DNA analysis. How the probability is used in DNA analysis. Here we will refer the case study of CSS Miami, and we will see after the fact. That is, there was a crime, and in that crime scene they found out an apple with saliva in that, murderer's saliva in that. Actually the name of the person is not in the apple, right? But how come it is going to be useful with the help of that saliva present in this apple? How are they going to find out who is the person who murdered that thing, who did this particular crime? So there comes the DNA analysis. The each and every, if there is a, as you all know, it may be a hair or it can be any part. So in that part there will be DNA particles. So in the murderer in place, in that particular victim place, there may not be a full DNA they can get, but they will be getting only a part of the DNA. So with the help of probability and with the help of all the remaining concepts, they will try to identify who that particular victim is. And we'll be seeing how it is going to be useful in this. Actually, what is DNA? You have to know something about what is DNA and how it can be used in this, how our probability is used in identifying locating the crime, particular victims. See here, just see in the first picture, there is a full thing. It is only the part of the DNA is visible, right? So likewise, so wherever, most of the places, the police people or the particular person who are involved in that thing, forensic department, they won't be getting the full DNA. They'll be getting only the part of a DNA like this. And they, with the help of available database, the help of available content, and with the help of the suspect, they will check, they will analyze this particular DNA, and they will try to match with the available content. Here, interestingly, there are two controversial things here in case of DNA. And the thing is, in DNA, actually, each and every human share a different DNA, as you all know. Even the only the identical twins are having the same DNA. But apart from that, the DNA is unique to each person. But controversially, one more thing is, in that DNA, 99% is similar to all humans. That is, for example, if this is the entire, imagine that this is the entire DNA portion. In that, if you take the whole DNA, then it may be unique. But in most of the time, we'll be getting only loci at the regions. So in such case, if we compare the part of a DNA with the remaining per human beings, there will be millions of matches sometimes, and there will be hundreds and thousands of matches sometimes. So that is normal because 99% of the DNA portion will be similar between the humans. In such case, they will use the probability in locating the crime person. So here they will mainly use three things. One is the context matters. Whether even though they have a database of huge number of DNAs, if they match, for example, if they have this particular DNA portion, and if they match with the remaining thing, then if there is a match, then in such case, if suppose if it is matching with 10,000 people, then they cannot suspect all 10,000, right? So from that, how are they going to identify the particular person? It is based on whether the particular person is cached at the particular victim place. By, for example, if they have the murderous credit card in their hand, they hand hold it. If they red caught it like this, so in that like situation, we can suspect that person. So likewise, just to have to know about simply what is DNA and how it is going to be used in identifying the crime is, see, just imagine that your DNA is having two portions. One is your mobile number, the another one is your Aadhaar card. That is 22 numbers. 10 digit is for mobile number and 12 digit is for Aadhaar card. So totally you have 22 digits. Among that, only some portions are visible and some portions are not visible. Suppose in the moderate place, this particular data is received. Then if you just compare this with the entire database, just imagine that this particular part is matched with your own DNA. Suppose your mobile number and Aadhaar card, only this portion, for example, here 10 numbers are visible, remaining is not visible. So this is having an exact match with your number. So are you guilty? Definitely no, right? Because if there is a full match, then only we can say the particular person is we can suspect. Or that also we can say we can suspect because there are millions of other factors. Then apart from that, here that is most of the time they won't be getting the full DNA, only the part of a DNA they will be getting. So in that case, they have to identify whether it is more probability value or whether it is having less probability value. So based on that possibility, they will get into step-by-step process. So this is how the probability is, that is basic probability I'm talking about, just like flipping a coin and some other basic things. So just chance. So these things, why I mentioned flipping a coin is just to make you understand the randomness of event. See here, as like this example, you're not victim, but randomly it is matching with your number. This part of the DNA is matching with your own DNA. But we cannot say that you are a victim, right? So likewise, we can say how much chance or how much probability is there to suspect you, for example. If there is so more evidences, then we can reduce that, we can get into the next step. So in understanding all these things, the probability is useful in DNA analysis. So now we will get into some different types of basic probability. That is, what do you mean by repeatable events, experiments, about uncertainty, what are all dependent and independent events, and what do you mean by mutually exclusive? First, we will start with repeatable events. So what is repeatable event? Just as you did, just flipping a coin, you can do any number of times. So if you do one time, you'll be getting head, for example. If you do the other time, it may be anything. We cannot certain that because first time we got head, second time also we will be getting head. No, it is not like that. So likewise, if we can repeat this so many number of times, that is an example for repeatable events or the experiments. And what is uncertainty in the same example? As I told you, the first time you get head or a tail, but in the second time, I hope the video is visible to you. And the second time, you won't be getting the same output, and you and me may not know which output you'll be getting, because the first time you got head, the second time also you won't be getting the same thing. That is uncertain. And the third thing is whether it is dependent or the independent events. See, if the probability of getting the head in first time is affecting the another thing, the second, for example, we can say first time you are getting head and it is not going to have any impact on the second chance, because second chance there is an equal opportunity for getting head or a tail. So that is called as independent events. Suppose if one outcome is affecting the other, then that is called as dependent events. And for understanding mutual exclusiveness, most of the times we will use the deck example, the card deck example, because suppose if you have more number of cards, and there is a possibility of getting both hearted as well as the number 4, the same card, right? So drawing a card 4 and the heart is not mutually exclusive. So it's because the same card is in both cases. So likewise, so we have to think what are all the possible outcomes for the probability. Before understanding all these things, I hope you know the probability outcome is only between 1, and the probability value is only between 0 and 1. We cannot have a negative probability, and it cannot have more than 1 also. So it is only between 0 and 1. Similarly, you should have, for calculating the probability, you should know all possible outcomes. Thus, how many number of values are there. So everything you have to understand. Now we'll get into finance. How probability is going to be used in finance. We are going to see an example of purchasing a lottery ticket with the technical term of expected value. What is expected value and how it is going to be a deciding factor of whether purchasing a lottery ticket is good or bad. So to better understand that, we will take an example of dice rolling, and based on this understanding, we will answer the previous question, whether to purchase a lottery or not. See, as you all know, if you roll a dice, there are 6 possible outcomes. There is a possibility of getting 1 here, just for example, each is equal chance, so it is 1 by 6. The probability of getting the 2 number in dice is 1 by 6. So there is an equal opportunity for all 6 outcomes. There are only totally only we have 6 outcomes. Here, just imagine that if you roll a die and if you get 1, then you will be getting 1 rupee. And if you roll a die and you get 2, then you will be getting 2. Likewise, if this is getting repeated, then how to calculate the expected value and how to decide whether this particular game will be useful or not. Here, the number of the probability value is 1 by 6. The expected the amount which we'll be getting if this particular outcome happen, then there will be 1 rupee gain. So likewise, we have to multiply this probability with the exact price. We have to multiply, and ultimately we have to add all those values. So here in this example, the outcome we'll be getting is 3.50. Just imagine that you have spent 1 rupee for this. You have spent you have spent 3 rupees for this game to get you have registered with 3 rupees for this game, and the ultimate profit here expected value is 3.50. It means you can play this game because the expected value is more than your investment. In such case, this will be a beneficial game. So likewise, we can decide. So how we can apply this concept in our purchasing the lottery ticket? Just imagine that each lottery ticket is having 1 rupee. So you have to spend 1 rupee for purchasing 1 lottery ticket. And the probability of winning 1 in 10 is free ticket min. Then if you win 1 in 15 is 2 rupees. The probability for 1 in 42.86 is 4 rupees. The probability of winning 1 in 75 is 5 rupees. And the probability of winning 1 in 40,000 is 1000 rupees. Here, how to calculate the expected value? As like this previous thing, you can calculate, you can multiply the probability values with the outcome. You just add everything. Here the expected value is 0.56. Suppose here you have spent 1 rupee and the expected value is only 50, 0.56 paise. So here purchasing a lottery ticket is not advisable because whatever the benefit you will be getting, that will be less than this amount spent. Yes, sometimes you'll be getting for sometimes I'll be getting $2 or 2 rupees if I'm spending 1 rupee, and sometimes I'll be getting 10 rupees, sometimes I'll be getting 100 rupees, but that is not going to work out in the long run, because even if I'm getting 100 rupees, suppose if I'm planning to invest again that 100 rupees and getting 100 more tickets, if I continue like this in the long run, definitely it is going to be a favor for ticket sales. Is not going to be useful for the customers or the consumers. That is why the casinos are making more amount. Here, just imagine that this, because everything is number of independent trials. So here we are having a law of large numbers. As I told you, if we spend 10 lakhs rupees, that much number of times you have played, then the expected earning is 5,60,000. Here, the expected earning is less than, much less. It's almost only 50% of the total investment. So if you purchase the lottery ticket, in the long run, it is going to be a loss for you. That is why the probability experts or the statisticians will advise you not to purchase the lottery ticket, and that is not going to gain you anything in the long run. The same law of large numbers is applicable for our splits example. See, they did a trial for only 10 members, then the possibility of getting, what is success for them? Actually, the success here is if they get minimum among that 100 consumers, minimum if 40 of them chose splits, then that is a success for them. So here we will be getting the success rate based on that. Here x-axis represents the number of test takers. Then the y-axis represents the probability value. If we add all the probabilities, it sums up to 1. If we have only 10%, if we do this blind taste testing with only 10 consumers, then we have only less probability of getting 40%. If we increase the number of customers to 100, that is what the splits did. They did for 100 consumers. So almost more than 96%, 98% chance for their winning. If they increase for 1,000, again, the probability is much more. See, the possibilities of getting success. The success means 40 or more persons choosing splits. So if it is 10 testers, only 83%, 198, 1099.9. If it is more than that, it is almost reaching 100. So that is why this is not a risky marketing campaign at all. That is why they were that much confident in their process. Now it's time for poll again. So I'm going to raise the poll. Just start answering this. Based on your understanding, you can answer. Actually, this kind of polls will help you in learning from your peers. Even if you are giving a wrong answer, no issues, because by giving the wrong answer, you can learn a lot. Good, good. I'm getting interesting answers. And the numbers is increasing. Very nice. No issues, even if you are answering wrong or if you don't know, no issues. Just click one option. Afterwards, you can learn. The learning happens in two things. One is through the staff who is teaching, and from peers. Actually, this kind of polls will help you in learning from the peers. Even in most of the cases, if you give the wrong answers, you won't forget the concept at all because you can learn strongly. Good. So it's more than 76 voted. So I'm going to end the poll right now and I'm going to share the results. See, 78% have told that it is an independent event and 22 is dependent event. Very interesting, right? See, today it's raining, whether it rained yesterday. See, in both of the cases, actually, suppose the rain is due to storm. The storm, is it going to last within same day, within 24 hours exactly? It's not right? So the storm may last for days. In such case, the storm which causes rain for today may cause same maybe for yesterday, that may be the cause for tomorrow also. So both are not completely independent events. The right answer is dependent events. So I'm going to launch one more poll. Let's start answering this one. Nice, good. Good. I'm getting more answers. I thought of explaining all these concepts through this polling. That is why I have given you this question and I hope it is going to happen. Nice. Nice. 70% voted. I'm expecting some more to vote. Good. The number is increasing now. I'm going to just end the poll and share the results. See, 38% have chosen it as dependent event and 63% chosen independent events. Always majority is not right, isn't it? So here also the right answer is dependent events, because whatever the reason for crashing your car today, the same reason may be repeated in the next year also. For example, if your car is crashed because of your bad driving, if you are the owner, so you're not going to change that. So next year also, if you are going to drive and if you're going someplace, the same thing might repeat, right? So likewise, due to many reasons, if there is any problem in your engine, if that is not repaired properly, the same problem may reoccur. So both are dependent events, they are not completely independent. So this is a learning here through this question. I'm going to stop sharing the results. Okay, we'll continue to the next one. We'll get into the insurance industry. Here, we are going to say about expected loss. It is very similar to expected value. Here, we are going to answer the question. We are going to tell you, don't buy the extended warranty on your 9,999 rupees printer. So what insurance is all about? So first of all, you have to understand what is insurances. Actually, the entire insurance industry is built on probability. A warranty is just a form of insurance. Whenever you insure anything, see whether my screen is visible.
No.
Yes. I hope now it is visible, right?
Yes.
So what insurance is all about? Actually, the entire insurance company is running with the help of probability concept or the uncertainty. The warranty is also one form of uncertainty or one form of insurance, I can say. Here, just now we have seen two events. One is about rain, the other one's about crashing your car. So what are all the possibilities to crash your car? It may be maybe because of your bad driving, or because you crashed to a tree, and or otherwise this is called as fire hydrant. Actually, one interesting fact is one of my classmates' nephew, she drove the car over the fire hydrant and both car crashed, and they have to spend a lot for replacing the fire hydrant also. Most of the time it also happens. So in such case, what you are going to do? And how are we going to decide whether the insurance is benefit or it is not getting benefited? Actually, in insurance, you are transferring the risk from yourself to the insurance company. The insurances here, for example, if you want to insure your car or something like that, first of all, you'll be deciding what you are going to insure about, and then yourself as well as the insurance company will check clearly what are all the possible future outcomes or what are all the future possibilities may happen. For example, the car may crash or it may get fire accident. If it is of a house, something gets stolen or some bad thing the fire accident happens. Likewise, there may be multiple reasons. So the insurance company will just list out all possible events, and based on that, uh, they will be charging their premium. And you have to check whether, suppose if your car is stolen or if it is getting burnt, and in such case, is it possible to withstand from that loss? So the normal consumers, you don't, right? If it is a huge loss and it is going to drastically change your life, in that kind of things, most of the time you have to go for an insurance. Suppose if it is only small things, and where even if it is lost, even that particular damage happening is not going to change your life entirely, you can withstand. So in such cases, you have to think for a while. So you can understand this with the help of the further understanding. That is, here, as I told you, you'll be changing the risk. You'll be transferring the risk from yourself to the companies, the insurance companies. But why are they willing to accept this kind of risk? Because here again the law of large number appears. Here, for the long run, this is going to be a benefit for them, because yes, for the short time there will be car crashes like that. As I told you, there will be a fire hydrants loss also. So in that kind of thing, they have to completely replace the car. Yes, this is a huge loss for the industry company, insurance companies. But it's not the case always. For example, if they have 100 million consumers, then it may be the case for 10% or maybe 20% sometimes. So in such case, for all the remaining persons, the same is not going to be repeated. So that is what the benefit for them. So the casinos, it may be a lottery company or it may be an insurance. For all those things, it will be a huge benefit for them. That is why we have to, before insuring anything, we have to think. If it is our huge investment like car or a home or something like that, then we have to, because the persons like Warren Buffett or the multimillionaires, they need not do that, because even if some bad thing is happening, they can withstand. But that is not possible for the normal consumers. But at the same time, if we do it for our printers and our small things, then it is going to give a very loss for us. Actually, insurance is not an investment. Whenever you think that it is going to dramatically change your life, then only during that time you just take the decision. We'll see, and we will see with example how to calculate this expected loss. You just assume that the insurance amount for your car is 30 lakhs total amount, and chance of getting stolen. Just for example, I have taken this figure. Chance of getting stolen is 1 in 1000. The annual expected loss is, we have to multiply this to just like the expected outcome, the insurance amount and the chances, the probability value. The output is, here we got 30,000 rupees. So here, likewise, we need to calculate the expected values. So it means yearly we'll be paying the insurance annually 30,000 rupees. This is how we can calculate the premiums, whether it is affordable or not. So insurance will not save money in the long run, prevent some unacceptably high loss. Yes. So before investing in insurance, you have to think multiple times and then decide whether it is going to change your life or you can withstand without the insurance policies. But how these insurance companies are making profit in this case? See, in the long run, most of the times, actually for them, it is the payout is less than more incoming amounts, incoming investments. That is why they make profit. So the learning here is always ensure against only the harmful or the expected events that you can't afford. Skip buying insurance on everything else. So here in this case of printers, don't go for extended warranty, because most of the time your printer is not going to have any damage. Even still, if there is any problem, your compared to the cost of repairing that will be very less compared to whatever the amount you are paying for the insurance. So better please avoid getting the warranty, extended warranty things. Next, we will see how probability is going to be useful in research. We take a research venture of analyzing, examining a new cure for male pattern baldness. Here, this can be answered with the help of decision trees. Just imagine that in this research venture is investing $1 million investment. And there are multiple phases to get into the success. The first phase is whether this particular, whatever the method they have chosen, whether it is going to be success or a failure. What is the probability of getting cured by this pattern? And what is the probability of getting no cure? 0.3% for cure, 0.7 probability for no cure. Or we can say it is 3 percentage, sorry, 0.3%. Once this is okay, suppose if your treatment is correct, then the next stage is whether this drug is going to be approved or not approved. What is the probability of getting approval? What is the probability of getting not approval? So 0.6 for drug approved probability value, 0.4 chance for getting not approved values. So just imagine that you got approval also. You are going to the next stage. Then here, whether you are going to get the market or your competitor beats you. So this is the main important thing. Even everything, you are crossing all the levels, and before getting into the market, if there is another product with same kind of solution, you won't be getting this profit, right? So here the 0.9% chance for getting into the market. So here, once if everything is fine, everything is positive, then the huge investment, huge return of investment you'll be getting, that is the $25 million. So from this, we are not ending here. So how to take a decision whether we can proceed with this plan or we are going to stop this. So here we have to calculate the expected value just by multiplying all these probabilities, 0.3, 0.6, 0.9 and this amount. And whatever the value we are getting, just keep that value. Likewise, we need to repeat for each stages. Then For calculating the expected payoff, just adding all the values. So you'll be getting some figure, right? This value is much more greater than, because 1 million only we have invested, approximately 4 million, more than $4 million we are getting in terms of return of investment. Then shall we proceed with this? This is a very interesting plan and it is going to give a huge benefit, right? So shall we proceed with this? So think for a while, because most of the time, even though if you follow the theoretical concepts, it's not going to get you benefit in real time, in real business. That is why most of the businesses failure if they don't plan, if they don't do the right strategy, if they don't plan the right strategy. Here again the chance comes. So if we take our coin flipping, there is a chance, even though we are saying chance of getting head is only 0.5 probability, even in today's class we get 100% or 1 probability. All the 100% of the students chosen head. So in business, because it's just a coin flip, no issues, we are just learning. But the same thing is happening in real time business thing. So what is going to happen? They have invested $1 million and after the end of the, because they have to wait for so many number of years to get this outcome. But after waiting that much number of years, if that is a total failure, then it is going to affect their lifetime, not only their employees, and so many persons are involved in that. So that is why we should not take this decision. Maybe the persons like Warren Buffett or the multimillionaires can check. Why I'm repeatedly telling Warren Buffett is, he's a person who's an expert in stock market and the investment and finance. I hope as an MBA student you know him. And if he's a person, then he may be choosing 100 plans like this, and he will be trying with 100 opportunities, and among that 100, 2 or 3 may click for him. So in that case, even 1 or 3 click is working out, is going to give him a high benefit. So ultimately at the end, if you just calculate the 100 loss and the remaining 4 or 5 for success cases, he'll be ultimately as a total, he'll be getting a very good success rate and very good profit. But a business for the ordinary people is not like the case, because just by understanding, after understanding the theory, if you just starting this project, and if it is not working out, then we'll be end up with a huge loss. That is why, even though there are theoretical success answers are there, before implementing we need to think. We'll see another example of healthcare testing for rare disease. Here we are going to see about what is false positive. What is false positive is, suppose actually we are screening for a disease. The person is not having a disease, but what is the possibility of getting wrongly if he is positive with that disease? Again, we will use the decision tree for this. Here we will see what is going to happen. So in this research, it is a real-time research happened. They had taken 175 million adult Americans for this research. So among this, they have classified into 2 things. The persons have disease after screening, the probability of having a disease and the probability of not having a disease. Only 0.0001 is having a disease and 0.9999 not having a disease. And after that, what is the probability of test positive and test negative? It means once they have tested, that particular person is having a disease, what is the success rate? It is 1. The probability is 1. Test negative is 0. It means it won't miss out even 1 positive case. So in this example, they got 1,750 as have disease and test positive, and 0 for have disease and test negative. Nobody left out with disease. But the interesting point here is, those who are not having a disease, if you are testing them, then there is a possibility of getting wrong answer. That is, by mistake, 17,500 people, they don't have a disease but tested positive. And the amount of don't have disease and test negative is remaining huge number. They don't have disease, they have test negative. This is the normal case. Here the abnormality is only this, they don't have a disease but tested positive. So how it is going to be reflected, we will see. The total number of people with disease is 1750. The total they have disease is 1750 plus this 17,500, wrong number. So just compare these numbers. Originally only 1750 people are having the problem of this particular disease, but by mistake this particular test is giving us 17,500 people with this disease. So 9% it is false positive. So likewise, the probability can be implemented in different places and different businesses. Because here, I want to tell you one important thing here. We are wasting the healthcare resources for unnecessarily the 17,500. Those who want the care, this 1,750 want the care, utmost care, but there's a chance for missing out. That's the problem here actually. This is the activity time. Actually, I'm going to copy this link and I'm going to paste it in the chat box. All of you please go to that link, open that link. There is a game. You just play the game for more than 10 times and then come back here. And we will have some polls and we will stop the session. Okay, once you complete this, I'm just launching another poll. Just answering this based on your understanding. No issues, you can take your own time and just play the game and then come back here. Good, I started getting the answers. Actually, if you play the game only one time, you won't be getting, you can't understand it completely. You have to play it multiple times. Then only you can understand the insight behind that. So I'm going to end the polling and I'm going to share the results. See, good. 44% have chosen the option switch. That is the right strategy. So in this game, we have to switch the option. And why we need to switch? Wait for the another poll. So I'm going to end the poll right now. And I'm going to share the results. Yes, as majority voted 44%, because the chance of winning increases from 1/3 to 2/3. Yes, because in this game, in the first option, if they are not switching, then the probability of winning is only 1/3. But if they switch after opening one door, the probability of winning increases. The right answer is the first option. So I'm going to stop sharing the results. There are some key takeaways from the session. So the conclusion here is, as we saw, the probability is a powerful tool, and there are a study about the events and outcomes with uncertainty. We have seen so many examples for that, and it can be applied to different variety of applications in real time. So the conclusion is, once fundamental understanding is strong and clear, we should not stop there. You need to look for the impact of those concepts in real-time business applications like this that help you more in becoming a techno manager. Well, thank you.